Man, hey, Lady Drina, we're just glad to be gliding in your aftermath.
Listen, I do this because I love what I do. And I think what you guys do is absolutely needed and very important.
Man,
Well,
we
no, we
appreciate
appreciate that. No, absolutely. But here's the other thing too, though. Lady Drina, what's going on now, Chief? What's going on, Sensei?
Sensei.
Yeah, brother Chris Shaw has joined us in the booth. What do you call it? Fire in the booth. We got the fire in the booth with Lady Drina, the award-winning Lady Drina, and Sensei, brother Chris Shaw.
You know.
But listen, unfortunately, Lady Drina, speaking about what happened in Wekiva or at the Wekiva Jones game this weekend, I don't know if y'all heard, but University of Virginia has had a tragedy that happened just yesterday, early evening on yesterday. But one of the former UVA football players shot and killed 3 individuals and wounded 2 others.
Wow.
And so, hearts and prayers, go out to the UVA community, the families of those athletes and young men and that were killed. Brother Love, you send your kids off to school.
Right.
And you're happy, and that they're going out, that they're fulfilling the dream of going out, doing and being better. You send them to a football game to have fun. You never imagine that you're going to get a call that says,
I got real breaking news in Daytona, like an hour ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Around the campus, they had a shooting. A 20-year-old just got shot and killed today, like an hour ago.
So listen. But before we get into tonight's show, let's say this to all of the parents, all of the brothers, all of the sisters, all of the cousins, all of the aunties, all of the friends. Take time and celebrate everyone that's around you right now, because you never know.
You're right.
When you make it, and God forbid that you ever get that call, but let's celebrate. And sometimes we get mad at our kids. We want to argue with them, and they get mad at us. They want to argue with us. But it is a very real thing that the ones that we find so precious in our lives, our children, our friends, our family, that they can be gone. So let's take a little bit of time at some point in time, either tonight, tomorrow, something like that. Call somebody, just let them know you're thinking about. Tell them that you love them, because you just never know.
And you're right, Greg. You're absolutely right, man. You're right on point. And you know what, Greg? Something else that this show has been all about, and I mean, from day one, it's been about results.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to cherish and love our kids, love one another. But you know what? We're also going to be putting together some strategies and plans, and some of the conversations that, Greg, you and I have had over the last few weeks based on these events taking place.
Yeah,
is we got to look at what is it that we're doing from, and I'm not looking at the heavy-handedness or anything, but Greg, there's some other pillars that participate in what we call public safety.
Well, brother, and you and I, we had this conversation. Was it last night? Was it yesterday that you and I were talking?
We talked so doggone much.
But there's absolutely a piece of the puzzle, Brother Love, that needs to be, I don't want to say addressed, because I don't want to, like I said, we don't want to point fingers, but there is a spoke in the wheel, so to speak, that for some reason, these young people are getting out and able to do these heinous crimes when things can be done sooner rather than later. I mean, you have law enforcement that arrest them, but law enforcement can't bring the charges. You have the judges who can sentence them, but the judges can't sentence, so juries can't sentence if they're not being brought to the courtroom to face justice. And so, we've talked about it before, Brother Love, but we have to expand this conversation and really and truly figure out where that missing spoke is.
And the conversation, Greg, where you educated me on is, when we talk about the state attorney's office, we talk about discretion as well.
Right.
Discretion to prosecute.
That's right.
To proceed forward. So we talk about those items when we talk about public safety, but then, Greg, there's a fourth element that you and I, we've always talked about, and that is community. We have 2 brothers that are going to be joining us as our special guests. Greg, man, I tell you, I don't know, man, if we bring these brothers on in with us, because we got a lot on our plate tonight, but these 2 brothers are going to be joining us tonight, Greg. They are going to, and they have had a lot to do with what happens in communities around the state.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll be welcoming them as well, and bringing them in and hoping that we have some fruitful conversations. And once again, if you want to be a part of tonight's conversation, 407-894-1680 is a number that folks can call if they want to be a part of tonight's conversation. Looks like we got us some friends coming to join tonight, brother love. Look at that. Hey, on cue and everything. Look at this.
Okay.
We got the fireworks now.
Yeah,
we got the fireworks. So.
Make sure those put your headphones on. Make sure we got y'all tuned in so that you can hear what's happening tonight. Greg, nobody makes introductions like you. But I have to say once again, man, when I talked about the fact that we have two brothers joining us tonight that actually have the influence. You know, we could talk about law enforcement, we could talk about the state attorney's office, we could talk about the courts. But man, it all starts at home, Greg.
Absolutely.
It all starts at home. So without any further ado, because tonight we're gonna bring it to you. Greg, how high the IQ gonna go tonight, brother?
Oh, listen, man. Tonight we have a special on IQs tonight. We got a special on IQs tonight. Normally they go at 5 to 10 points. Tonight we're gonna give them 15 to 20, brother love. We're gonna 15 to 20 IQ points because we have in the studio with us tonight none other than a good friend of the show. He has been here time and time again talking to us about so many different issues. None other than the one and only Pastor Terrence Gray. Brother Gray, how you doing this evening?
Outstanding, but I ain't as good as you, buddy. Just check out them shoes. You so clean.
Hey, but listen now, before you get me off my game now.
Oh, you know,
get me off my game now. We got another young man up in here that's coming up in here with us. None other than the incomparable, the one and only Dr. Franklin Richardson.
I'm happy to be here, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that is the chairman of the Conference of National Black Churches, and you're going to hear a whole lot more about it. The conference is going to be taking place in none other than, you know, the most beautiful place.
The City Beautiful.
City Beautiful, man, and everybody's familiar with the Rosen Center. But hey, we're just glad to have you two brothers with us tonight because we have a lot to talk about. Yes, we're going to be talking about the conference. We're going to be talking about what takes place at the conference. But as you two well know, everybody wants to hear what we have to say about the midterm results as well. So we got a lot to talk about. And so, Greg, man, where do we kick this thing off at, man?
Listen, I don't know if you want to talk about the midterms.
Oh, why you gonna do that?
I don't know why you know, I heard something about, and I told you last week. Remember, I heard a whole bunch of talk about the red wave, and I said, now wait a minute, now don't.
The red wave did take place in Florida.
But Florida's one state, and it's a beautiful state. It is. But this red wave that Republicans were pounding their chests about and saying was coming, that they warned us about, and I'm gonna tell you what this election has shown, Brother Love, is that Donald Trump. For as much as people may like his policies, and listen, I'm going to be quite frank. There were some of his policies that I appreciate and I like, and I've said that, but I thought that he was off his rocker. And Donald Trump has shown that his candidates that he backed cannot prevail in an election across this country.
You're right, you did.
And now, not only is Donald Trump not accepting of the fact that his name is not going to drag these people across the line, now, thankfully, guess who he's attacking now? He's not attacking Democrats. He's not attacking independents.
No.
He's not attacking China. He's attacking other Republicans.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
right. But you know, Greg, we always had conversation on this show. We don't care about what your party affiliation is. Yeah, we disclose what ours is. But the bottom line is you vote for who's going to improve the quality of life of you and your family.
That's correct.
You know, how do those principles align? And so we saw that night particularly, but then the next day we saw what the country did, and basically what the country is saying is that we want to go back to some level of normalcy.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
So this is a good segue. Doc, you know, we know the conference is taking place, but one of the things that Greg and I have been asked by a lot of people is, hey, the conference is coming to town. You're going to have churches coming from all over the country. Leaders from all over the country. What is the conference going to be doing to address any specific issues that are relative to Black America?
Well, I don't think we ought to come from a standpoint of a promise of what we're going to do.
Okay.
I think we have to talk about what we've already done and where we've been engaged. We have been in. We put feet on the ground in voting across the country. We put pastors, we put lay people on the ground. We raised money and put them on the ground to get out the vote. We're nonpartisan, Conference of National Black Churches, but we know if our people vote, everything will be all right.
Gotcha.
So we just got to get them to the polls.
Well, you know what? You just kind of lit this fuse because we have a caller on the line. Caller, Reverend King, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so very much for taking my call. You got some heavy hitters in the house. Yeah, Dr. Richardson and my good friend, Pastor Terrence Gray. I want, I'll tell you, Greg Jackson, to address this question, because earlier we was talking about the shootings and things that are going on, and we talked about, you know, what the police can do, what the judges can do, but I want to know, that's reactive. What can we do to be proactive, to curtail or eliminate these kinds of things that are these shootings that look like us, that are taking place? Is there anything that we can do?
You know, that's an outstanding question, and I'm glad you asked me, because I'm gonna tell you, folks don't believe it by the way I walk and talk sometimes, but I came up in the church, and I'm gonna tell you that he said, "Good Lord, don't say it so." But I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that influenced me was the fact that as I was coming up, we had church school. When I was coming up, we had we had summer Bible school. We had places where we could stay connected with the church more than we do now, because right now, for some reason, our young people are fleeing and running away from the church, and their God, for lack of a better phrase, is social media. And so I think that if we can find a way to reach them where they are via social media, and I know that Pastor Gray, you do an outstanding job of reaching folks in your own social media and different things like that, but we got to find a way to touch these young people where they are, because we're losing them to this social media stuff.
Well, one of the things that the conference is doing in we have a whole segment on
pull that mic closer to you, Doc.
We have a whole segment on intergenerational synergy. How do we reach the next generation? We have 5 historically Black college presidents who can come and talk to us about the students and how they are different. The presidents are saying the students that they have in college today are completely different, and they're going to talk to us about how they want us to understand that difference, and so the church can look at how it goes forward. Also, we're doing a piece on understanding the differences between the generations, starting with the baby boomers and moving right on, Xers and this Generation G and millennials, and what are the characteristics that shape them, and what are the practices that bring them apart. So we're trying, the church, we own the fact, the church owns the fact that we have lost, we're not lost, but they're not as embracing of the church as it's been. So we don't defend that.
Gotcha.
We're trying to find a way to fix it. And we also understand that we've been in warfare with a secular culture that has turned our people away from faith, has turned our country away from faith. And we've become very secular. We've lost the sense of values. And the consequences of that is that when you lose values and morality, you end up with crime and victimization and rape and so forth. So we've got to regain that in our communities. We got to claim it.
Dr. Rich, you got to be careful now, because they're going to think we playing this now. They're going to think they was out there in the lobby talking.
but you know what I love about this conference is that you're bringing people from all over the country, and you're looking at what works, best practices. I know, communities are unique in and of themselves, but some of the things that we know are best practices that work need to be disseminated and educated. And Pastor Gray, we want to pass the same question to you. What do you think that we can do that's proactive? We're not going to eliminate it all. Let's just make sure we're realistic. We're not going to eliminate it all, but what can we do to just put a dent in this to some degree? Pastor,
I'm going to jump on the first part of it by going to scripture. I mean, come on, y'all do know I'm a preacher. Luke has a wonderful story in the 18th chapter, and that 8th verse, I think, really speaks volumes, where Jesus says, when the Son of Man returns, will he find faith in the earth? Okay, that's a major question. Most of us read that 18th chapter as if it is focused on prayer, because we give Luke the right to say, in an attempt to teach people how to pray, Jesus taught this parable. But I think we missed it. It's not so much about prayer as it is, will he find faith? Everything that you've discussed demonstrates that the faith community, as what you heard Dr. Richardson admit, we have lost our ability to maintain our place in generations that are coming. So then, we can then look at space movies or sci-fi films, and guess what happens? You don't see the church in Star Wars or Star Trek. In essence, they are not there, as if to imply the church will lose its place and its value. Well, what has to happen is, as during this conference, we're reinvesting in ourselves to recognize that we've got to tap that.
Yeah.
Mike Scott, who just recently won Commission 6 for our county, was inside of St. Mark with some young men that he was mentoring. One of the young men who was a part of his group was one of the young men, was the young man that got killed at Jones on Saturday night. So you bring these guys with you who are hurting, who are in pain. But the thing that stuck out in my mind about Mike during that time is Mike says, I didn't start mentoring these guys. I've been mentoring them, which means he's showing them some love.
Yeah.
And says that I've got to be the father of some other people besides the people that are in my house. You want a practicality? Faith is one of them. We've got to start fathering not just our own, but the community again. And then we've got to fill their time with activities outside of letting them have it on their own. So I've raised those 3 F's, and I know y'all can work them. They sound like you just got to serve them.
Listen, hey, we got a couple of hits over here. Doctor, people are asking, when is this conference taking place? Where, we talked
It's
about
December 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's 48 hours, the most powerful 48 hours in the Black church. We start at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, and it's over on Thursday, 12 o'clock. And it's packed. We're doing the pieces on burnout, black pastors burnout, and the fallout of the pandemic as it relates to mental health that has affected us. We got a lot of fallout of we gotten past or on our way past the pandemic, but we are left with the casualties and the consequences of having been in a pandemic. And Black people disproportionately were affected by the pandemic and are disproportionately affected by the fallout.
Talk about the healthcare, because you got a big piece that's taking place in the healthcare.
Well, we're launching on Sunday a health fair piece at what's the church?
It's going to be New Covenant.
New Covenant, and Robert Smith, who's a big philanthropist, outstanding billionaire, is funding with the CNBC a prostate cancer drive. He's bought and developed rolling laboratories, buses to be able to take prostate. So it's going to start at New Covenant Church, and then every day of the count at the center, the Rosen Center, there will be these important vehicles and opportunity for people to get testing. In addition, we're doing some other things at the church to begin to focus on health. We believe that education is critical to Black people's future. Health is critical, as well as economic development. Those three things.
Well, when you mention that, because state of Florida, we have a large managed care piece. Partners such as United Healthcare, Sunshine Health, you're looking, I know you're constantly looking for sponsors and other parties that can come to the table when you're talking about health. How would they get a hold of, anybody in the conference if they want to be a sponsor?
Well, they can call Terrence here locally. We also have a national number, thecnbc.com or .org, .net, either one you want to use, the CNBC.
Okay. So because I'm familiar with some of the Sunshine executives, I know United is prevalent in the state of Florida. Pastor Gray, I know if you don't mind, St. Mark, we know where the bricks and mortar is there. You can contact St. Mark AME, reach out to Pastor Gray, and Pastor Gray, I know you can pass that information on.
We can, as well as you did get the CNBC,
the
THE CNBC.
All right, so Doc, talk to us.
Well, let me say, going further, this conference is designed to address the what we've done. As I said to you, what we've done, we have put over $500,000 injections in African Americans fighting this vaccination, but it's probably up to 1 million. But we have the actual details up to over 500,000. We trained 3,500 pastors last year and another 22,000 pastors this year in making sure that the pastors understand COVID, understand its impact, how it's done. So what we felt was if the pastors had the truth about COVID, it would trickle down to the community. All of these conspiracy thought that it was killing our people. We've done a good job in bursting that conspiracy talk about COVID, because the reality is that the vaccinations have helped save lives in our communities. So we've done that. We've had a partnership with CDC, and we have been partners with them. We're now getting ready to do some further activities. What deal we made with them was they came to us, asked us to help them get the word out about vaccinations in the Black community. So we used our churches, 31,000 churches across the country. And we did that, but the deal was that I'm not going to help you I'm not going to be a Band-Aid for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
When the fact is that the reason why Black people are the mostly affected by it is because y'all neglected us and not giving us adequate health care, didn't make it available to our community. So if we'll help you with COVID, if you'll commit to a long-term relationship to deal with the issues that are affecting our people. So now we have a 5-year commitment from CDC. It's a multi-million-dollar commitment each year. And we're going to help educate our communities through our churches. Our church is going. The future of the church is to be a servant of the community. There ain't no other way the church can live. The church has to live because people will value the service that it gives, not just the rhetoric it delivers, but the actions it takes on behalf of people.
You glossed over something, and I don't know, Greg, if our listening audience caught that. 31,000 churches.
Yeah.
Doc, I don't know what else to say, but you have, 4 awards that are taking place during this conference as well.
Yes.
And I don't even want to skip over the burnout of Black pastors. You know, we hear about teacher burnout. We hear about law enforcement burnout. Speak to the burnout of pastors.
It's real. It's real. Pastors
Yes,
pastors live out there. They don't do a 9 to 5. They don't cut the lights off at 6 o'clock, go home. They take whatever they're dealing with, they take it home, they sleep with it, they get up in the morning with it. It is ongoing. And unless you learn how to manage your emotions and your psychology and your time, you will burn out because human beings can't do but so much. And many pastors, because of their love and their devotion, they burn out. And often it's not seen, but we as pastors know it's real. And we try to, so this conference is going to address that because it's a critical issue for us. Let me also mention that we're also addressing we've identified what we think is the big issues, violence and crime, right? On that last day, Attorney Crump is going to do a major presentation and going to take questions and answers. We're going to do a piece on what are the legal issues and criminal issues facing Black community, because we understand that the disproportionate numbers of Blacks incarcerated is a sore, it's a cancer on African American people. It destroys our ability to rise. I mean, it's like taking a rock around your neck, and no matter how you rise, if you keep getting defined as being criminals and you're somehow responsible for all the crime in the world, you have a difficulty. So we're dealing with that. That's one of the very important issues.
Boy, so let's talk about these 4 awards that's going to be taking place.
Yeah, well, we celebrate that. I'm going to ask my colleague to talk about the 2 we're going to do, the Tillich and Tilt.
Emmett Till as well as Howard Thurman.
Howard Thurman. Why don't you go?
I'm excited. You know, all of us are blessed to know that we realize that the guy by the name of Rich Black has done a phenomenal job with Onyx Magazine. And he has had an opportunity over a course of a number of years to celebrate not only men and women who've had success, but ultimately we've seen him as a person who has demonstrated the kind of imagery that says, hey, I want to put it in the forefront of the people. I want to put this message out. And because he has done it successfully with Onyx Magazine all over the state of Florida, the wonderful committee of CNBC have decided to honor him during this opportunity to give him the Emmett Till Award. And hey, what better person than Greg Francis to be honored in the name of Howard Thurman, Thurgood Marshall. He's basically going to get that wonderful award, and we're excited about that. How, you know, the boy has done a great job as working for the Black farmers. He's been the voice for a number of people. He's been there, consistently open to the people, and has also given back to the community and been involved in the community. And what better person do we need to take the time to honor than Greg Francis?
Well, hold up, Greg Jackson. Are you going to let him or allow Pastor to gloss over when he talks about the Black farmers and Greg Francis, the gloss over the historical settlement?
I mean, listen, it's known, it's been said. Greg Francis was able to secure $1.3 billion, the largest settlement for the black farmers and one of the largest settlements in U.S. history. And not only is, Greg Francis an attorney in this area, not only is he an African-American attorney in this area, but he is homegrown in this area, has a deep heart for the community. As Pastor Gray was saying, Greg Francis has come alongside with us to do things in the community. And he's always just a phone call away.
Yeah.
And anytime you need something, have a need, Greg Francis, I have never known him to be someone that turns anybody down with the worthy cause. So I will say, Thurgood Marshall Award, I can't think of a better attorney. Maybe Ben Crump, and maybe that's another time, but a better attorney to be honored in such a way that Greg Francis is being honored.
Well, I guess that's that plug for Osborne and Francis, right?
Yeah, let the Lord's name be praised.
We also those awards are going to be given out on Wednesday night at the banquet.
Okay.
We're having a major banquet. We probably will be beyond capacity on that night. Thankful to the local committee. We've got a great local committee that's chaired by Pastor Terrence, and they're doing a great job. We met with them earlier today. The other thing, we have two other awards. One is the next one is William Gray. William Gray was the chairman of the Conference of National Black Churches for many years. He was the senior bishop of the CME Church, and he did a great job. He died maybe about 5 or 6 years ago or less, and he was extraordinary. And we wanted to take one of the denominational leaders who's doing a great job and who's really at the apex of his service in the person of Adam Richardson, who was senior bishop of the AME Church. He hosted us when we were here, when he was over this district. He's been right on point every step of the way with the Conference of National Black Churches. He's a valued brother. He's articulate, a writer, a great preacher, a passionate heart, and head of a great denomination. I mean, the AME Church is phenomenal. So when we honor Bishop Richardson, we are honoring the AME Church. And so we're going to honor him with the Gray Award. The other award is going to John Hurst Adams. John Hurst Adams is the founder of the Conference of National Black Churches. 40 years ago, we were founded, and John Hurst Adams was the person who convened it. And then the heads of 6 denominations joined with him in calling the churches together. You know, the idea of CNBC is that the churches have to do the churchy stuff, but CNBC is the social consciousness of the Black church. It's the expression of the Black church's commitment to social justice. And so that's what we do. We do the social justice. The African American, the Conference of National Black Churches, we do social justice on behalf of the denominations. So the denominations make up the board, and we implement programmatic, educational, economic, and political activities that are designed to represent the church's engagement in social justice. John Hurst Adams was a visionary. He was the head of the AME Church senior bishop for many years, longest serving senior bishop. 16 years of AME Church. And he had the capacity to reach out to all of us. He was a mentor to me. I'm the chairman. I followed him. He was chair. I served under him. And when he stepped down, he recommended me to become the chairman of the Conference of National Black Churches. So I have a great regard for him. The other person that was in the room, significant, was Jackie Burton. Jackie Burton was in the room 40 years ago when she was the director of programmatic activities for the Black Church of Lilly Endowment. During her career, through the Lilly Endowment, she gave over $200 million to Black church, Black religion. And she directed it, and she helped sustain the Conference of National Black Churches for more than 25 years in that role. So that's a natural blend. Here we have John Hurst Adams in the room, and the only one left that was in the room is Jackie Burton. The 7 pastors who were in the room when the conference was, 7 leaders who were in the room when they convened it. The only one left as one of the founders is Jackie Burton. And so she wasn't a pastor. So, but she was in the room, and she's continued serving now in an extraordinary way as the leader of the as president of the Conference of National Black Churches. And so she works with me, does a great job, and I'm really happy to have her partnership. And so she's going to be honored after all these years. We're going to honor Jackie Burton with the John Hurst Adams Award.
This is a history lesson too, Greg, about the conference. You know, this is a history lesson. But, you know, as you're bringing all of the churches together, and there's going to be a great deal of information. And when you talk about social justice and things of that nature, I would imagine that the significant minutes from this that are policy issues must go to those lawmakers around the country.
I didn't tell you that Clyburn is going to speak on, he's doing a keynote special on the opening night, keynote on Tuesday afternoon rather. He's going to be giving the keynote. But in addition, at our board meeting, we're making some real radical decisions. We're making one decision we're going to make is one around economics, and Terrence will talk about that at some point. But we're going to do that. We're also making a radical decision around how we address the social issues and how we bring them to bear. We have Freddie Haynes, who is a social justice leader, is going to present to the board our proclamation that's going to challenge the government. We're going to take all these 31,000 churches, these 6 denominations, and we're going to lay it at the foot of the government and find out how we can get the things that we're participating in the voting process. They all know we are. Without African-American participation, there would have been a red wave, right, across the country. Without it. And the degree to which we have been able to have impact ought to result in at least giving a sensitive ear to what we desire, the outcomes we desire. And so we think that's a critical mean. Well, so I'm excited about the Conference of National Black Churches and its potential to bring healing to African-American people, to put the church where it ought to be. The denominations spend all their resources in maintaining the machinery of religion. The Conference of National Black Churches gives the denomination an opportunity to address the social issues concerning our community. And so we're excited. It's a validation of the Black church. If we can be successful in what we set out to do, Black church will be honored again in the life of Black people.
So let me ask the question now. You talk about the various denominations, the various churches that are part of the Conference of National Black Churches. Are there any other partners, and how do you become a partner of this fantastic collaboration of National Black Churches?
Well, as I told you, the origin was in the 6 denominations. That were the Church of God in Christ, the AME Church, the AME Zions, the National Baptist, the Progressive Baptist, and the CME Church. Those are the 6 founding church groups. As we have evolved in terms of our significance and impact, we opened up. We don't just serve those denominations. Right. Not only that, in our bylaws, we're creating a category for associate denominations, because in order to have been early on, you had to have no one could have been a part of the founding unless they represented 1 million churches, 1 million people rather, a million members. Each one of them had to have 1 million, and that eliminated a lot of the smaller denominations back then. We have subsequently, following the philosophy that we got to be reaching to everybody and be unified, we're opening up, and we're going to have a category for all denominations want to be, because we've had requests from people who don't belong to those denominations to be a part of CNBC. So we're now open to it, and we're doing some things that are going to make it possible for it to be even more inclusive than it has been.
Now, you also mentioned as a part of financial stability, health, and different things like that, but you also mentioned education, and you said something that was it caught my attention. You said that education is important for the Black community, and Pastor Gray, I know that you understand the importance of education. Talk to us about how the conference is going to, I don't want to say encourage, but how are we going to get these young people to understand that importance of education, the way that we were taught? In order to get, from this point of your life to that point, you have to be educated. What is the plan to get that message across?
Well, first of all, we have young people on the program. This is not a closed program where only old seasoned preachers are going to be talking. This is a program where we're bringing young people to the forefront and having them to talk and challenge us. We're having them to challenge us. Now,
wait a minute. Y'all saying preachers gonna let some young folks come and challenge them now?
That's right. That's right.
Can I get a ticket for that?
Yeah, we've done that before. No, this
Really?
is the way. No. That's the only way we're gonna get through what we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Is open up the channels of communication.
Hmm.
And so we have these young people. We're also having 20 interns that we're bringing from the seminaries to attend the conference, future pastors, male and female, who will come and be a part of the conference, and they're coming at our expense, and we want to expose them to this future. And I told you we already have 5 historically Black college presidents. All of them are fairly young, as a matter of fact, who are coming to share their challenges with the new generation. They'll tell you that this is serious. I'm chairman of the board of Virginia Union University, and my president and we know the challenges of the students that we have today. It's a whole, and it changes every 4 years. I mean, 4 years ago when he became president, he could speak that language. He was with them in the past 4 years. The language doesn't change. He's outdoors now because they got all kind of, and they have new issues, drug issues, and the drug they use is a different drug than we are familiar with. So I mean, it's an ongoing challenge.
But I see that challenge as a way to get young people back. I mean, and I don't even want to dismiss it to say that young people aren't part of the church that are helping the church grow. But man, if we're all honest, we got to admit, we got to draw more of those young people back into the church.
Yeah, Newman didn't lie. He talked about the fatherless generation, which means that there will come a generation that will really fight against the established norms and established leadership. And we see that. The key is we're trying to strategically find ways to do the bridge in order to bring that group back into the dialogue, for we can begin the process of trying our best to retrain, redevelop our methods, as well as help them to therefore become leaders in the days to come. But I also think y'all are missing something else that's going to happen. I think we will be remiss, and that is the whole issue for us to be alive regard the racial issues with the church. You need to go ahead and hit that as well.
Well, 6 years ago when Mother Emanuel was attacked and we lost 9 people in that killing, the CNBC convened a consultation on race and reconciliation, and we continue to have elements of it continuously. We gathered white and Black denominations together. They were our guests, the white denominations. The Lutherans, the young man who killed the 9 was a Lutheran. We had the Lutheran, we had the Presbyterians, we had the Methodists, all of those who were willing to come, and we sat at the table and we talked honestly about race and reconciliation. Some of those denominational leaders actually broke down in tears, confessing their own tolerance of racism. And so we are trying to dissect that. And going forward, we're going to have, this year, we set out to have 50 cities where conversation goes on between white congregations and Black congregations at the local level, so that we begin to have some honest conversation, not just at the top level, not with just denominational heads, but at the local level. So we're going to do 10 churches this year, where we go 10 cities this year, where we go and have white congregations and Black congregations talk to each other about race and about how do we get past this race thing, which is a very important issue when we've come out of this. Fortunately, I feel so good about the atmosphere that we're going in. It's a different atmosphere than when MAGA was in charge. But the issues of racism must be exhausted, must be explored, and must be confronted, not in hostile ways, but in ways in which their communities, their churches in the cities, we'll probably invite the synagogues to come in and be a part of it, because they got big issues of racial hostility. So that's when you ask about race and reconciliation, that's one of the things high on our agenda. And we gathered the church together as a result of Emanuel 9.
I don't want to miss out on, the economic development piece, but Brother Shaw, you are a father, you are a husband, you're a professor at a HBCU, you work with young people. I mean, you're hearing all of this. What are you taking away from this, man?
Well, it's a conversation that needs to be talked about all across all platforms. Even though I'm at a HBCU, I've encountered 3 Caucasian students in my classroom, and these are actual conversations that we talk about in our television and radio production classes. And we talked about them because we just had homecoming not too long ago, and they kept saying, the Caucasian kids was like, well, no, we don't go because we don't know what it's like. We hear all these other stories. And until they opened up their eyes talking to their classmates about it, they took the time out to go and visit and see what homecoming festivities was about. and they actually enjoyed themselves. So you're absolutely right. This is a conversation that needs to be talked about. And I got 2 girls at home, so I'm teaching my daughters now how to go to the weight room and bench press in case they got a solve situation, but be ready to have that conversation as well.
Yes, sir.
But just on the heels of that, though, Dr. Richardson, that conversation, when you brought in the white churches along with the black pastors and the black churches, what was the most, I don't want to say, I guess for lack of a better word, what was the most shocking thing that you heard about the perception of white churches to black churches?
The thing that most impacted me was their ownership, the white leadership, white press ownership of the racism as a reality. And not only collectively, but they had personal confessions. I heard the head of the UCC church talk about his dad was a racist.
Wow.
And he broke down crying, talk about it, the racism. So what the most shocking thing was they're willing to own racism in their own life and experience. I mean, that's powerful.
Yes, it is.
And so that was a moving moment when people get to own it and felt that they were comfortable in an environment where they could say, yes, I know about racism. My father was a racist and I know it. And as I look back now, I realize I benefited from racism.
And that's the reconciliation part.
Yes.
Because before you can even address the problem, you have to realize there is a problem.
You got to own it.
And this,
You gotta own it.
I mean, this powerful organization brought that to bear.
Yes.
To allow them to say, we have this problem and we know we have this problem, and now let's heal from it.
And so that's why the
Interesting.
city's conversations grew out of that.
Yeah.
That the best way to respond to it, not just sitting around the table with heads of denominations, take it to the people. Because we can heal, if we can get people in the communities, in the local churches to talk about and own their racism.
You're right.
That's a big step towards fixing this country.
Yeah.
Right. And Pastor Greg, a good friend of yours and Greg, we've had him on the show before, Dr. Joe Hunter. I mean, a great example. I mean, speak to it.
Well, Joel and I, as you well know, we've been a part of wonderful conversations. We've had Robert Jones, who is the author of White Too Long, on 2 different major webinars in which we discussed this issue. And the thing that makes Joel and our partnership along the journey when he was beautiful is that he was able to make some admissions. And one of the admissions that pastors of the Caucasian community are afraid to, in vast numbers, is to admit that to challenge the subject really is costing them their livelihood, because their communities of faith, many of them, especially in the book called White Too Long, declares they were created to maintain this mindset of superiority, especially when you start looking at the evangelical church and looking at all the more at what is considered to be the Southern Baptist Church, which basically broke up because they wanted to maintain that which was the division of races and the superiority in the mindset of race. And even more so, that's how their seminaries were teaching. And a vast majority of people went through their experience. So in Robert Jones' book, White Too Long, if you all remember, his argument or his case is for Caucasians, if you are Christian, the more Christian you are as a Caucasian, the more racist you are. The struggle that I think that we're going to possibly run into is how do we get the evangelicals to the table?
Well, let me tell you,
how do we get to
there has historically been every 500 years a separation of the church. Now, I'm on the verge where I'm saying let the conservatives be designated into their category, because the Jesus they know, I don't know nothing about that Jesus. The Jesus of the white conservative church, I don't know nothing about it. No need for reconciling that. When you got a broken vision of Jesus, there's no way we can get to the same table. So we need to, just like when the Catholics broke from when the Protestants broke from the Catholics, it's time for Christians in America to break from the right wing religion. They're not the same as us. Don't call them Christians. They ain't Christian.
But you know what though?
You know I'll be a devil.
I know you just spoke it.
I wanted to mess with you. I had to do it. I knew it was gonna come out.
The United Methodist Church is having this very discussion right now.
No question.
There's a far right wing of the United Methodist Church that is in the process of fracture right now.
I'm telling you that there is a developing schism that is going to be bigger than just race. It's a whole schism between understanding Jesus from a perspective of empowerment and liberation. That's what we are faced with. And it's got to do with gender. It ain't just race; it's gender, and that's gonna be the schism line. And I suggest that there are gonna be two different Christianities in America. The Christianity of the right and the Christianity of those who are not so left, but who understand, who want to be faithful to the gospel, the message of Jesus Christ and the life of Jesus Christ.
I really want to struggle with us for us to really coin a new way to describe the people who basically we say are in a particular direction.
Right.
I would say, let's say there would be a development of the people who follow the text and the principles of the Christ, and those who are skewed.
That's right.
Let's not say right, because they ain't right.
No, they're wrong.
The word they skewed.
They skewed.
They skewed.
I like that.
They've gotten this thing twisted.
You can leave a deterrence to come up with the right.
I mean, I'm serious. You can't, because we've been saying it wrong.
Right.
We've been saying
you're
right wing too long.
That's
no, they
right.
skewed.
Skewed.
They ain't right wing. They skewed. Let's deal with the folk who know the text against the folk who skewed.
But I love the conversation, Greg, because making a big tent,
right,
but also drawing a line too.
Yeah.
Man, this conference is something you cannot afford to miss.
No.
December the 13th
through the 14th, 15th.
Through the 15th.
48 hours, most powerful 48 hours in the Black church.
Well, we can't let, we got 10 minutes left. We were talking about economic development or the economics of it. Pastor Gray, the doctor deferred to you. So
we got a new agenda that's going to be emerging forth. We're going to present it and vote on it in the board meeting. But I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Because it's the first time I've heard of a vehicle that is ultimately can result in building capital in African American communities for creative opportunity, and use the church as the vehicle for the building of it. And it's his baby.
Okay. Well, man.
So we won't hear that unless we're at the conference then.
No, I think that it's just fair for that to have its unveiling with the Conference of National Black Churches.
It's like if you write a book, you don't want to tell us in the book, right?
And I say this sincerely, for people to realize the impact of the Black church, I don't believe it will work without the CNBC. It has that's how viable the CNBC is, and how astounding the impact is made on my life during the time of my growth and development. I know it's phenomenal, because ultimately what you hear Dr. Richardson saying is the CNBC has helped to frame the agenda that brings us back together. What happened with the civil rights movement is that all Black churches had one agenda. They had one, and that agenda was civil rights. Right. Well, over time, when the Black church finds itself going awry, it's because they have not gotten back to a common agenda. And so people no longer see civil rights or civil liberties as an issue. So consequently, they're doing their own thing. What the CNBC continuously does, it tries to bring us back to a common centralized agenda we can all wrap our minds around and kind of agree to, and move forward and help our people to do a better job.
Dr. Richardson, I met you several months ago through my good friend, Pastor Gray. And I know Greg was tired the night I met you, talking his ear off about the Dr. Richardson that I met. But man, I'm just excited about the work that's being done, not just here, but across the country.
Yes.
Dr. Richardson, you're based out of New York, correct?
That's right.
So, man, I tell you, what else can we expect from this conference? Because we know you're going to be identifying trailblazers that have paid their dues.
Right.
We know that you're going to be identifying and talking about best practices, if you would, evidence-based practices that are effective in communities. And I also hear a lot about, Desmond Meade, who oversees Florida restoration, civil rights, when we talk about those individuals that have made mistakes in their life, but they've righted the ship. A lot of things that are taking place. And one of the key components that we talked about here tonight that I'm looking forward to hearing is the economic development piece, which is the driver. So if you are listening in or you've tuned in, we have two great guests that are in the studio with us tonight. That's Dr. Richardson, and we also have Pastor Gray. The conference is taking place December the 13th through the 15th at the Rosen Center. If you're a small business, a large business, and you want to be a sponsor, please step up to the plate. I know Doc Polite, our executive director, has that information in the queue. You can register for the conference, but with the minutes that we have left, come on, let's.
Let me say one other thing. We will also have great preaching.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Dr. Ralph West of Houston, Texas, will be preaching. Dr. Jacqueline Thompson of Los Angeles will be preaching. And Reverend Al Sharpton will be the speaker for the banquet that night. And then, so it's really a power-packed conference. And let me tell you, some of the most powerful pastors in America will be in that space during those 2 days.
Let me ask this question. I don't know if I've asked this question, if this has been asked. How many times has this been to Orlando?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the recent times, it's been here more than we've been anywhere else. Because we came here some years ago, 4 years ago, after we left Charleston, and we then went to Atlanta. Then we agreed to come back here, and then the pandemic came and blocked us. So we had a session here last year, which Terrence took and hosted, and it was basically a virtual session. And so we're back because we had to make the deal with Rosen Center to get out of that last contract. So we're back because of that. So we've been here actually literally 3 years and 5 years.
Greg, help me out with this. I'd be remiss if I had to ask this doggone question. But coming back to Orlando,
The city beautiful.
the city beautiful. I know, and Pastor Greg, you're a good contact person, because when I say this, I know Walt Disney World got to be showing some love. Universal Studios got to be showing some love. Greg, who am I missing, man?
Listen, name them all, because when I hear about the powerfulness of this conference, that's why I asked, how many times has this been in Orlando?
What's the
Because
largest timeshare here? What's the largest timeshare here, Greg?
I know it's Siegel. I know he owns it.
Westgate.
Yeah,
Westgate.
Siegel,
I know they got so.
Well, let me tell you, I'm on the board of Comcast, which owns Universal. So Universal is one of the major sponsors for our conference.
Nice.
So we'd like to get Disney. We'd like to get everybody. Everybody.
Hey, you say you're from New York? That's some Southern talk right there.
At WOKB, Lady Drina, before she left, she was saying, where's the advertisement that's coming on WOKB? You know anything about that, Brother Shaw?
Not right now at the present time. Let me handle some other stuff, and I'll get back with you and let you know.
All right, brother. So do we have some spots for the conference?
Well, we do, and Terrence can help coordinate.
Okay.
that, yes, and we have, we're producing. We got a full video thing. The conference is being recorded by our own staff, but also Impact TV, which is our partner, national partner. I didn't say anything about that, but we'll have a weekly show on Impact TV starting this year, first year. And so we're going to be on television talking about these issues. Much of what we do in the conference is going to show up as a show on the Impact TV.
Nice.
So,
Very
and
nice.
also during the course of this, we have live streaming, and will be opportunities for promotion and advertisement in that form as well.
As much as the local media, Channel 9, 6, and a whole bunch of the rest of them, go and advertise all the bad that goes wrong in our communities. I definitely know they should be taking a role in broadcasting and letting people know what's taking place.
That which is being that was part of the goal is the CNBC's national advertisement group is working with our local area, working with persons in order for us to get that out. And I think we're going to try our best. We're going to use OKB as well as utilize other radio stations as well as the television networks locally to make sure that the word goes out in a very special way. Monica May is already involved.
Excellent person.
You're already there. And Rich Black is also involved. So we're working it and trying our best to get it.
And I don't want to miss this to say that there's going to be an ecumenical service.
That's correct.
On Tuesday evening.
That's right.
That is going to be the time when we actually literally come together. We're going to see all the heads of denominations together in the worship service. The flags of the churches will be processing through the congregation. And so it'll be held at Macedonia Baptist Church. Pastor Barnes is pastor there. So.
Over in the historic town of Eatonville.
Greg, give us a summary.
But I was looking at your notes because I want to make sure, because it sounds as if this extends much further than December 13th through December 15th of 2022. And I want to make sure that folks are able to follow what the Conference of National Black Churches is doing, because this is not just an event thing. This is a movement that's taking place. So we want to make sure that folks know how to continue to follow the great work that's being done. So I know that we have DCNBC.
The
Yeah.
The CNBC.
Now you know I'm from Taylor County.
I gotta help you. I gotta help you.
I'm from Taylor County. I'm from a little small town. Now we don't need to roll our R's over there in Taylor County. I'm gonna do this for you tonight,
Okay,
Doc.
thank you.
The CNBC.com.
.net.org.
.net.org. The CNBC.net.org. Please, please, please go follow, check out what they're doing, and let's continue to support the great work of this organization.
Well, I want to thank you all tonight. This is powerful, and I've enjoyed the conversation.
But Doctor, you're always welcome, and Pastor Gray, you even when you're not welcome, I remember the time you walked up on me and
Hey,
we always welcome.
Hey, we
brother.
told the door's always open.
Don't forget the 11th. The 11th is going to be the health initiative.
Yeah.
Then don't forget that we're going to turn around, and on the 13th we're going to be in Macedonia. The 14th we'll be at the Rosen Center for that, which will be the banquet, and we close out on that.
If we can get that
Please
agenda,
keep
Greg
that
and
in
I
mind.
will keep pumping
Yeah,
that on the
Keep
show
pushing,
as well.
Keep
Absolutely.
pushing. All
Yeah.
right.
Hey, you've heard me in the show like this, and you know it's with nothing but love. But we appreciate having you and the doctor with us this evening.
Yes,
but
sir.
you do not have to go home.
No,
But you
sir.
got to get out of here.
Until next Monday on Let's Talk Nation. Hey, with Rod Love and Greg Jackson, and we once again thank our special guests for being here. Hey, we'll see you next week, y'all.
God
Take care.
Thank you, man. Bless you. Good job.